Well, good afternoon, good evening, and hello to all of you folks across the country and around the world. You've tuned in to Grassroots Talks. While it's been a while, it might have been worth the wait. But today I'm going to talk to you about legacy. Yeah, that's about what you leave behind. Today I was in a conversation about a young lady who I consider an icon. Her name was Rosentine Purnell. A professor, a PhD, world travel, God-fearing woman who did any and everything right. Walked the walk, talked the talk, mentored a lot of young people. And I'm not going to go into the depth of her story on this particular episode, but I'm just going to talk about legacy. And I'm going to ask you a question. What have you done or what will you do that will cause people to remember you for 100 years, just 100, that didn't cause any harm to anyone? Who was your mentor? That's good. But what did you do? Did you reap the benefits of somebody else's efforts? So when you die, what will they really say about you? What did you give to humanity? Or did you just suck and bleed it dry? Oh yeah, some people are going to be bent out of shape because of what I'm sharing, but that's okay. It's only their defense mechanism to hide the issues that are surrounding their inadequacies or ineffective life. Because if you know that you've really done something, you should be very, very proud of it. What will they say? What will they say about you when they throw dirt on top of you for the last time? That you really stood for something, or you was really good for nothing? I'm just talking, okay? I'm not going to talk about me while I could, but I'd love for you folks to answer that question to yourself. In the up and coming days, I'm going to be broadcasting on this site as well as my blog talk site because I want to hear from you folks. I want you to be able to call in, ask your questions, and maybe share a little bit of your story. But for right now, I'm going to share something with you. There was another rich person, wealthiest man in the world, King Solomon. King Solomon was filthy, 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 filthy rich, on top of rich. God-fearing man, but let's just break this down. At the end of the day, what kind of legacy did he leave? Was it about all the money he had, or was that he believed in God? Because God doesn't really get off on how fancy your car was or how great your house was. He said, well, did you let anybody sleep in your house coming out the cold? Ooh, not in my house. I need my privacy, okay? Or did you put somebody in your fancy car and you took them someplace so that they could get some help? They ain't riding in my car, okay? Or did you invite one of the persons that may have looked a little down and out to go and eat with you in one of them fancy restaurants that you spending, gosh, $25 for a hamburger or something stupid like that? I'm talking about one hamburger. Give me a break. Oh, we know that there are better and more finer meals out there. That's not the point. I've been to those too. But the point is, did you feed somebody? Or how big was your bank account? Because you can only spend so much money in a lifetime. Okay, oh, I want to leave it to somebody. Really? But what did you really leave them with? Did you leave them with some money, or did you leave them with some forethought as to who they are or who they can be? What example did you set? Now, I know I ain't perfect. I done did a whole lot of things I'm probably not too happy about, but I've done a few things, and at the end, as I end this road or this journey, still focusing on things that I am going to do. For example, did you know that over 90% of the young people who emancipate out of foster homes and group homes end up on the street if they lucky? Oh no, I'm not morbid. I know exactly what I said. If they lucky, because if they're not lucky, they're going to wind up dead or in jail. Well, you know, this is after they have been wards of the court, where the system was supposed to take care of them and provide for all their worldly needs and prepare them for a healthy transition into adult life. And guess what? 90% of them fail. So that means that's a failing corporation. Tell me any corporation in America that could have a 90% failure rate and still be in business for 5 more minutes. I'm waiting. Not going to happen. You and I both know that. So therefore, I'm going to be opening up a transitional academy. This transitional academy will house a minimum of 500 young men and young women, but also veterans. You know why I'm putting veterans in there? Because veterans bring a certain level of stability and accountability, and especially these young people who have an attitude of entitlement need some structure in their life, okay? And why am I not working with you? Been doing that for over 35 years. But the system ties our hands, and they think too much. This is why you have such a failing rate of success, and they still trying. Do you know they're actually not considering, but imploding on the foster care system, that all of the workers have to have degrees. Now, I'm sure you folks will argue with me, well, yes, they should have degrees. Really? They should have training, they should have passion, and they need to have experience, because there's nowhere in the world you could tell me that you can take a fresh little Barbie doll or a young man fresh off a college campus and tell me they know how to work with a young person who has been raised in the group home and foster care setting. They will eat them alive. Now that's from experience, and I know what I'm talking about. And just in case, I got the degrees to back this game up too. So you folks need to really, really rethink that whole process. I'm talking to Governor Brown on this one, okay? Because somebody done fed you a bill of goods. You need to rethink this thing called wraparound, which sounds great, but you're aligning it with nothing but a whole bunch of people who act just like the politicians and the bureaucrats who can't figure out exactly what they're going to do. And if you look at your numbers, the financial rate of cost to manage these kids, while it is and going to continue to go up, you know, we're talking about almost $14,000 a month for each kid in a group home. You put 6 kids in a group home and do the math. Now you're talking $70,000, $80,000 a month. And yes, we got most group home operators have at least 2 to 3 homes. Now they are millionaires, but they're idiots because they don't have to have a degree either. They just got to have some money. So you know, you're not really thinking this thing through. You need to get some real regular old folks sprinkled in with some smart people too, and put together a package that makes sense, and stop dumping these kids off at the Mission, putting their clothes on the sidewalk and driving off like y'all done stole something. Something's wrong with that picture. Anyway, I got the answer, because I ain't just sitting up here complaining. You guys can find out more about it, but you're going to have to write me over at grassrootstalksibs@gmail.com, or you can visit me on Facebook at Grassroots Talks. Either way, holler back. But if you don't, I'm going to get it done anyway, because I'm not going to sit here waiting on you. I'm too grown for that and too smart, because most people, while they sit up and bite their nails and overthink about why it won't work, I've already ran a successful pilot program, so I know it will work. The only challenge that I ran into is, it's going to cost money. It's going to cost a boatload of money. And do you realize that the city of Los Angeles had the audacity, after giving them a proposal of what would work? I told them I needed some land. They told me they didn't have any land. Get out of here. You can't tell me you don't have no land. It's just that these children are not your priority because they were not voting at the time. Okay? But one of these days they will. And some of you folks are going to be voted out of office. Okay? Well, in our next segments during this week, we're going to be talking about this issue not only of legacy and what do you leave behind, what did you stand for when they finally throw some dirt on top of you, but we're going to be talking also about this issue of cultural diversity, racism, prejudice, all of these foul behaviors that are not God-like, and it just don't make no sense. Okay? We got a president, we're in America, we got to roll with him because he was the one that was elected. We don't have to like everything that he do, but we do not start alienating people from eating in restaurants just because we don't like them. That's a turn back to the way that they used to treat us in the 50s and in the 60s by not allowing us to be able to eat at the table. Give me a break. We can do better than that. And you people who are politicians, who are smart people, got your degrees, and you speak so well, y'all can't do no better than this. And now you're going to flip around and go ahead and threaten to kill Maxine Waters. Get out of here with that mess. Y'all better go sit down and fix this stuff. What example are you folks leaving for our young people? Now I'm taking it all the way back to what this show is going to be about anyway, which is a legacy. My politicians, my friends, what example are you setting for our young people when you are allowing this country to be divided? Do you realize that our children are watching you? Yet known these other countries around the world that are sitting up watching you and kind of giggling at the same time too. Boy, that young America ain't got no sense at all. And yes, we are young compared to a lot of the other countries, and we think that we're the smartest and the strongest nation in this world, but we got another thing coming. There's two countries that are neighbors that ain't nobody really paying attention to. How do you not? Russia and China, next door neighbors, and they talk and they hang out. They don't let us know every time that they do that, but my goodness, we can do a whole lot better on racism. Do we have to have a cataclysmic event that will affect the whole world before we can start really getting along? You know, there was another young lady I can think of that left a legacy, and she was a teenager. She saw injustice going on in her country, and she stood up and put her life on the line after she led her entire country into freedom. Y'all know who I'm talking about too, but I'm not going to say her name because I know my audience is very smart. But if you're really that smart, why are we sitting up here fighting when we need to, that border issue. Let's talk about human rights. I don't care about the American laws. I'm not going to go out there and try to break them. I'm saying that y'all need to fix them. Because if somebody is so desperate, I was talking to a young Hispanic woman the other day who is a citizen. Her son, 18 years old, working on his college degree to be a police officer. Very brilliant. The lady still spoke broken English because she got in here the right way. I ain't mad at you folks, because if I had a family that was so destitute that they couldn't eat and they couldn't feed that family, I'd try to do something too. But you got to pay consequences. But the humanistic aspect of that can never be lost when we call ourselves going to hold people accountable. Those children should have never been separated from their parents because you people are smart enough to do something about that. You don't do that to children. You've punished the children. You've left a scar. And that scar is not going to heal anytime soon. You're creating young enemies for our country, and we don't need no more enemies. We need allies. I know it may sound like I'm preaching a little bit, but sometimes we need to be preached too. So as I ask you, America, what is the legacy that you are living, that you are leaving? You know, in Antarctica, up under the ground, there is land where there was another civilization of people, but it's gone. We don't even remember it no more. That could happen to America. Let's go over to the pyramids. Y'all would keep thinking about the pyramids was built by some foreign people and all that. Give ourselves credit, we're smart. You realize that those pyramids are nothing but electrical towers, like solar panels that lit up that entire city or country of Egypt like you have never seen before? Oh, you didn't think about that one, did you? I might be giving up a little bit too much, but some of you smart people can check it out. Some of y'all who think that I'm full of it, that's okay too. But I do my homework. So I'm going to ask you again, at the end of the day, what are you leaving? A materialistic thing that your children will spend up? Or a house that they can be able to stay in with an attitude of entitlement and until they stop paying the taxes on it and then lose it? No, you got to leave your people with some moral fiber, being spiritually grounded, that the fathers and the mothers were real mothers and fathers and left their children, some monetary stuff, but also leave them the strength to be able to carry on your family name if it's worth that to you. I mean, people run around bragging about their last name or who they are, and they are descendants of nothing because they broke the cycle. Okay, I'm sure a lot of y'all are still mad at me right now. Go ahead and write me and let me know your thoughts at grassrootsibs@gmail.com. Remember, the whole world's a stage, but it's all about the part you play. Stay tuned and watch over the next week for our broadcasts and events that happen in the United States that will change the course of history. But you have a part still that you can play. Hey, listen, I'm out of here, and thanks a lot. You've just got through talking to Showtime on Grassroots Talk.